It is the final video in this series. So this is what we got at the end of our 19-minute render time animation. So it's rendered out all 30 frames, and I'm playing it back inside Blender, which you can do by going to Render, View Animation, or the hotkey Control F11, and it'll have this little window that'll pop up, and it's just basically scrolling through those frames that are rendered. You can also just left click and drag if you want to like scroll through it like that. And if you open up the folder, you should see something like this: 30 images, one for each frame. And yeah, this last tutorial is quite simply how to make these still frames one video file. And you can do that one of two ways. One, if you've got a video editor like Premiere or Final Cut, you can do it inside that. So I'll show you that very quickly. And then the second way, for those of you who don't have any other software and you just want to do it inside Blender, you can actually do it inside Blender. But first, very quickly, for those of you who have Premiere, this is how you do it. It's really simple. You just go to Import, double-click Import, and then you just select the first frame, or I guess any frame of the animation, and then check that little button down there that says Image Sequence, and then you just hit Open. And Premiere has intelligently figured out each frame, and yeah, it's now just created one video clip down there, which if you drag it into a new sequence like this, then that's it. That's basically it. And if you want to hold that last frame, you could add like a video hold on the last one, or what I usually do is I just select the last frame of the animation and then I import that, and then that could just be like the ending of the animation, and then that's it. And that's how I compile my animations inside because I edit my tutorials with Premiere and I do a bunch of other stuff. So if I'm doing that, I make sure I use the frames inside Premiere, so it's like the best quality. But if you just want to render like just one single little video file that you can send to your phone and post it on Instagram and get some sweet likes, you can do it in Blender. But you should do it in a new Blender file so as not to mess up, all this work that you've got here. So go and yeah, just open up a new Blender file, which you can, just create a new instance of Blender. Open this up, and let's make this full screen. And then there's not a video editing tab by default, but you can create one by clicking this little plus up here. So this is the workspace, and then go video editing, video editing. Okay, so this is the video sequence editor, which is basically you can edit videos in Blender. It's something that there is a niche community of Blender users that like to use it for that. I'm personally not a fan of the Blender video sequence editor because it just makes things more hard to do than Premiere. I'm used to Premiere and I like it. But for something like just making a video out of frames, it's perfectly capable of that. So you just go Add Image Sequence, and then find wherever it is that you've saved your images to, frames 1, and then you're going to select all this just by hitting A. So that's select all, the same hotkey as everywhere, A, and then hit Add Image Strip. Aha. Now you want to set your frame rate to the same frame rate that you want to, that we set it to before, which is 29.97. And then if you play it back, you should see something like that. You'll see it's stretched, and that's because the dimensions, it's trying to stretch the dimensions to fit the new dimensions of this new blend file. So we'll set that to the same as it was before, which is 1080. And you'll also notice that the colors look a little weird, like they're kind of like washed out, and that's because we rendered it in filmic mode, and then it's now basically those image files are sRGB, but then it's now reading that and it's applying another filmic mode on top of it. So we need to change that to standard. And when you do that, it should look the same, hopefully, as your render originally did. And that's it. And that's all you need to do. Then if you want to it's a pretty quick ending animation, and then it just like stops. So if you just want to extend that and extend the final frame, if you just click and drag and just pull that out, I'm just going to pull it out to 91, which will be, it'll hold for basically 2 seconds, 2 extra seconds, which will be fine. And I'm going to set my end count frame to 90, like so. And there we go. So that's, you play it back, that's what you get. Ta-da, cool. So Now, the all-important output settings, which is how we make it go to a video file. So first of all, let's set the folder to, I usually put it in the same folder just to keep it all like in one place. So wherever the frames are, I just put it there, and then I just call it like composite. I don't know, you can give it a name if you want, but I just call it composite. And then the file format. This is where we finally get to use the movie file. So we're using FFmpeg video, which... I don't know. Oh, look, it's even got a little pop-up. The most versatile way to output video frames. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody really ever uses those other ones, I think, except FFmpeg video. That is evidently the one that has all the encoding settings that you're used to in other video editors. So it's got like the container, all these settings, etc. So now this isn't a tutorial on like outputting video. Lord knows there's YouTube tutorials on that if you wanted to. But basically the container, this is how I do it. I set it to QuickTime as the container. The video codec, I leave that at H.264, which is pretty common. Again, I'm not an expert in this, but it's pretty common. And then the quality, like I don't even know what these do, but like high quality sounds like the one I want. So I just go high quality. And then that's it. Then you just hit, again, Control F12, or just go render animation. And because even though this is like why wouldn't it be rendering like this default cube? It's because by default in your output post-processing settings, it will render the sequence. So as long as that sequencer box is checked there, it's not going to render the default settings here. It's going to render what is in our sequence, which is this. So Control F12 now renders this. And it's obviously lightning fast because it's not rendering anything. It's just stacking the frames into an order and then saving it as a video file. And that's done. So if we go back to that folder there, look at this. We have something which is under 1 megabyte. And if we play it in VLC, it's this. And that's it, guys. You did it! The end. Well done on making it to the end. I hope you feel confident using Blender now, and I hope you will share your render on the Blender Donut subreddit. So we're actually having a little competition. If you're watching this at the time we upload it, you've got to the end of 2019 to make something creative and cool, featuring a donut somehow, and then I'm going to give 3 people a year of polygons. So you can start off 2020 right with all your textures and models covered. But really it's an excuse to just give you guys a little motivation to take what you've learned and venture out and make something new with it, because that's where the real learning happens. It's when you're actually challenging yourself by making something that you don't know how to get there until you start it. So, you know, take what you've learned with the donut, infuse it with some other tutorials. If you want to get a little bit more advanced techniques, I recommend the Anvil tutorial series, which walks you through, a little bit more advanced texturing, some sculpting, some baking. So that is recommended. It's for the old version of Blender, but having watched this, you will be fine to follow that because all the features are still the same. They're just in a few different places. But if you want to follow that, I recommend it. And also another good one, as I've recommended, is the lighting series. If you want to learn lighting, it's an underappreciated, underrated part of 3D. So if you want to watch that tutorial, you can watch that as well. But really, I'm glad you guys made it. This is it's a long series. I get it. It's often dry. It's often boring, but that's how we learn. That's how you learn Blender. But thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing your renders on the Reddit Blender Donut subreddit. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in a future video. Bye.